Well, good evening and welcome. I'm Linda Freed, and I have the honor of serving as the dean of this amazing Mailman School of Public Health and the real honor of introducing the graduating class of 2013 of the Mailman School Department of Health Policy and Management's Executive MPH program. Congratulations. This is an amazing class. They're all amazing, but this one is really fabulous. And it's a class, as all of your cheering squad knows, of accomplished mid to upper career healthcare professionals who have done the unthinkable to set their aspirations even higher than they were in order to come back to school for 24 months in order to go back out and change the world in ways that we need. That's an aspiration we all would want people to do, because this is a moment, as we'll hear from our speakers shortly, of such profound changes, which this class knows better than anybody right now. Such profound changes in the health system, the healthcare delivery system, the public health system. And I think there is no better prepared class of senior leaders and for a health system of the future than this one. To have the kind of background that you have acquired, the deep knowledge, the ability to analyze the issues we're confronted with, to have the skills and the ability to parse systems and to lead them, is a combination anchored in the values and goals of securing the health of a population that we need now and into the future. I'm confident, knowing the faculty up here and all the faculty in this program, that not only have they been deeply invested in your personal success, but they are anchoring it to the directions that we need for health leadership of the future. So congratulations to all of you. And I know that given the full voice of the cheering squad behind you, that you have been deeply cheered along the way by many people who have made it possible for you to be so successful in this program and to have reached this point. So it's most appropriate to invite you to turn around and for all of us to thank your cheering squad behind you for helping you get here. So for our audience gathered here today to celebrate these fabulous accomplishments and these extraordinary people, I'll just tell you for a moment about this class of 31. The average age is 44, ranging from 30 to 62 years, so really a mature group of leaders already who made personal commitments to lead at an even higher level. 32% of them already were physicians, 15% had an MBA, 9% were DDS, 6% a JD, and 6% a PhD. So an extraordinarily accomplished group, even before today's commencement. And this has been a highly engaged group. The Executive MPH program, in my experience, is characterized by groups that deeply bond, and this one is no exception. I know that part of the pain of graduation usually is just stepping back out into the world, but in this case, I've heard from many of you that the other part of the pain is not being able to anticipate seeing each other on a regular basis, and that you're already working on creating new ways to stay connected for the rest of your careers and your lives. And I applaud you for doing that. And the rest of us need you to be able to do that too, because it will give you much more strength and power in the roles that you move into. In fact, the class of 2013 did a unique thing of hosting informal salons, a bi-monthly public health salon open to other executive MPH students of the past as well as the present, where they got together and debated, and I hear sometimes quite hotly, public health issues over food and drinks, ranging from access to medicines in Sierra Leone to gun violence in the United States. So this is, for all of us, you know, part of the magic of leadership with this kind of breadth of thinking is your ability to engage on issues of great import for all of us in the population level, even when it's not part of the health system that you may be leading or the healthcare you may be managing. So today is a chance to really honor you and to celebrate your accomplishments, and I think there's no better way to start it out by hearing from another exemplary leader. And so it's my honor to introduce our speaker today, Michael Dowling, who is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the North Shore-LIJ Health System. This is a health system which, as you all know, is delivering world-class clinical care throughout the New York metropolitan area, as well as supporting pioneering research at the Feinstein Institute for Medical Research, and I think quite innovative approaches to medical education in the Hofstra North Shore-LIJ School of Medicine. Michael Dowling is really, I think, health systems, the executive's executive in a lot of ways. He has a long career and an exemplary one, starting prior to becoming president and CEO in 2002. He was the health system's executive vice president and chief operating officer. And even before that, he was the senior vice president at Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield. And even before that, he served in New York State government for 12 years, including 7 years as the state director of health, education, and human services, and deputy secretary to the governor. He's also served as commissioner of the New York State Department of Social Services, and prior to that, as an academic, was professor of social policy and assistant dean at the Fordham University Graduate School of Social Services. The breadth of that experience, I think, underpins some of the much of the exemplary leadership that he has really executed as the president and CEO of North Shore-LIJ Health System. Mr. Dowling has been honored for his accomplishments in many ways, ranging from most recently the 2012 B'nai B'rith National Healthcare Award and the Gail Warden Leadership Excellence Award from the National Center for Healthcare Leadership, to 2 numerous to count awards, which he told me I can't go near, except that I will mention that he received the gold medal from the American Irish Historical Society. And in a moment you'll find out some of his qualifications for that, but not all. Mr. Dowling is a member of the Institute of Medicine of the National Academy of Sciences, as well as serving as a board member of the Institute for Healthcare Improvement, and he was the past chair and current board member of the National Center for Healthcare Leadership. I am very honored on behalf of all of us, Michael, that you're here today, and we welcome you to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I am delighted to be here, and I first of all want to say congratulations to all of the graduates. And I can say that even though that Linda mentioned that your average age was 44, from up here you all look a lot younger. So probably the oldest person clapped, right? And also want to say a special thanks, as you already indicated, to all of the family members and friends, because nobody in any endeavor does anything alone, which is also a lesson in leadership, that whatever your endeavors are, you're always helped by a multitude of other people, some of which you don't even know. But we are the result of the interplay of all of the relationships that we develop over the course of a career or a lifetime. So I've been asked to make a few comments, and they'll be brief because I do know that there is a reception waiting for everybody in the back. And obviously you need to get along to have some celebrations with your family members and friends. So I'll try to be very, very brief because, as you know, when you talk about anything to do with healthcare, you can talk for an awful long time. And you can take any simple topic. Well, again, there are no simple topics. But you can take any small topic and you can expand it and deal with it for well over an hour. That's not what I'm going to do here. So I want to make a few comments, though. One is, and it is important, I think, for new graduates of very accomplished individuals, because you've gone through this scenario many times before with all of the degrees that you have in your background. And quite frankly, I'm also delighted to see that there are so many physicians in the group, because if there is one thing that is needed more and more and more, and more in the future than ever before in the past, is physician leadership. And I'll come back to that point in a little while. But despite the perspective of many, and despite all of the confusion and all of the complexity and the avalanche of negativity that you often see around you when it comes to healthcare, it is very, very important to put all of that aside. And in my view, we're living in an extraordinarily exciting time. This is a very transformational time in the field of healthcare, and we should take advantage of it. And I happen to subscribe to a statement by John Garner, who basically said that what we have before us are breathtaking opportunities disguised as unsolvable problems, which is worth thinking about, because sometimes we whine too much, we complain too much, we wonder about what can happen, we doubt ourselves, we're afraid to take some risk. But I think the opportunities over the next number of years, despite all the complexity and all the confusion, as I said, and in my regard, to some extent, the over-micromanagement by government and a multiplicity of regulations, it is, in fact, a very exciting time. But to take advantage of the opportunity, there are a couple of things I think that we have to understand. I am sure all of you know this, but let me repeat them. The first thing is that we have to recognize that there are lots of great things are currently occurring in healthcare. That in many circumstances we suffer from the crisis of success, not failure. There are wonderful things going on each and every day. Miracles occur, lives are saved, families are brought back together. And we should sit back ever so often and say, well, yes, we have lots of things we need to fix, but there are a lot of good things that are going on as well, because the cup is always half full, not always half empty. And I think it is very, very important for people who get into leadership positions to not only talk about what's not going well, but to equally talk about all of the things that are going well so well. The second point is that we are not alone in terms of the transformation that's going on. All you have to do is look around you and understand that every industry that you're aware of is going through major, major transformation. There is a tendency in healthcare sometimes, and I'm at too many meetings where this perspective is displayed, where it is like, why would it be happening to us? Look at all of the changes and all of the things that we now have to do, and it looks like that there is where there's a target on our backs. But look around at every industry. There is not an industry right now that is not going through massive transformation. Think of the publishing industry. Think of the banking industry. I drove near where I live on the corner. I used to often stop in and get a video at Blockbuster not too long ago. Today, where is Blockbuster? It's gone. So we're not alone here. Transformation is all around us, and we can learn from the transformation that's going on in others, even though it's not in healthcare. We can learn from the industries that are not healthcare, which we spend a lot of time doing, and I personally spend a lot of time doing. The other point is that as we move into the future, as you, I'm sure, have been told about by your faculty and your leadership at the school here, is that we have to embrace a whole new business model over the next number of years, which will have some of the following characteristics, many more than the ones I'm just going to mention. One is a dramatic movement from inpatient to outpatient and ambulatory. The shift from episodic care to population health, as was mentioned earlier, which, by the way, is a major, major, major change. And anybody think, we know how to do fee-for-service medicine pretty well. We don't know yet how to do population health medicine as well as we should. But that requires a whole different delivery system, a total modification in the way we look at everything, a change in the way we train staff, the way we recruit staff and who we recruit, the way we train staff at all levels, and the business aspects that we have to deal with. And I use the word business because, quite frankly, when you're dealing with revenue and expenses, you're dealing with a business. So you cannot assume that just because you can do good without having strong business principles. You have to have strong business principles to be able to allow you to do good, because without the resources you can't do it. And of course we're moving into the business of risk, where we will be responsible for our population rather than getting paid for every time somebody comes to us for some kind of procedure or some kind of involvement. And in our organization, we have now, over the last couple of months, we have developed and built all the competencies of an insurance company to be fully equipped to take full risk, which we're doing right now with every payer. And it's a dramatic, dramatic cultural change. Not an easy change, a major cultural change. The third point I want to make is that, and people don't like this word, but I like it, consumerism has arrived. It's what the consumer wants, consumer/patient wants in the future that matters, not just what we want to provide that matters. Healthcare is very good at giving people what we like to give them rather than giving them what they want. So we have to be dealing with a much more demanding populace, much more educated population for the most part, new methods, new conveniences, new service. We have to be very, very focused on the service aspects of care, not just on purely the medical aspects of care. And the other point, two other ones. One is that secrecy is out and transparency is in. Everything is public. We've lived in a world of secrecy. We've always declared we did well because we wrote the press releases. So we tell you how good we are, but we don't have to prove how good we are. We're moving into a world when we'll have to display that we're going to be good. And this is our results in quality, in cost, in efficiency. And I can tell you that many of the places and many of the entities and organizations that currently put themselves up as the best, because it is primarily based on reputation, not outcomes, when everything is completely transparent, the whole world is going to shift. When the transparency movement, which is catching on, fully catches on. The last point at the moment is that we are moving into a health business, not just the medical care business. And I am sure, and I know for sure, because I know some of the faculty that are sitting up here, that they have been talking to you about this. We have been in the illness business, not in the health business. Even though we call ourselves health organizations, and we call ourselves health professionals, we have been in the business of treating illness, not in the business of promoting health. And that's a huge cultural shift as well. So that requires teamwork, interdisciplinary training and education. It requires getting into the communities more, as you have been talked about and educated on, I'm sure. And it also means talking about lifestyle, behavior, social conditions, and dealing with, especially for physicians, dealing with professionals that they tend to traditionally never have dealt with or not want to deal with, but having to deal with them in the future. And the people in this room, obviously, I'm sure, understand this very well, because otherwise you wouldn't be in this room. But I can tell you that if you think that way, which I assume you do not reflect the views of so many physicians that I deal with every day, who think their sole business is sitting in the office dealing purely with the medical aspects not at all dealing with the health aspects. That is something that you can bring to the table and that you can have a major, major role in promoting. So to succeed in all of this and to deal with these changes and many, many others that I could spend a lot of time talking about, which I won't, it requires obviously leadership. And to me, leadership is very different than management. Leadership to me is about embracing change. It's about not being hostage to precedent. It's about taking the long view. It's about thinking of where you need to be and what you want to be and where your organization should be 5 years from now, not just 3 months from now, not next week. That's not unimportant, but you've got to be thinking about the long view, because otherwise you will never take the risks to get there. It's about being able to inspire and influence. It's about interpersonal relationships. It's about being able to build teams. It's about being perpetually optimistic, believing that things can always happen. Like as Disney said, if you believe it, you can make it happen. It's about never underestimating what can be accomplished. And it's about breaking down silos. One of the biggest challenges that we have in healthcare today is, in my view, is the inability to consistently break down the silos that we've all been trained in. Because education trains in silos. The world of practice doesn't deal in silos anymore, especially if you want to promote health. And leadership also has to understand that reform, and especially in the environment that we're currently in, that reform is a lot more than passing a piece of legislation. However good the legislation may be, and by the way, there's no perfect legislation because it's impossible to create it because of the political dynamics, and even if you didn't have those, it would be probably impossible anyway. But reform is much more than legislation. It's much more than the Affordable Care Act. Nobody knows yet how much of that will work, how well it will work. It sets in place some of the ideas that you can take and evolve into doing it somewhat differently than the way the regulators would like you to do it. And if people have the ability and are willing to take the risks of doing something differently, then I think that there can be some success. And leadership also means doing something before you're told that you have to do it. I've always been terribly confused and frustrated by the idea that in the environment we've been in all these years, that healthcare professionals had to be mandated to a large extent to promote transparency, to promote interdisciplinary training, to promote teamwork, to make their quality metrics public. That should never be where we are. We should be doing that, not others telling us to do it. So we've got to be doing things before we are either mandated, regulated, or told to do it, because once you get the regulatory bodies involved, it confuses things enormously, as you, I'm sure, very well know. And last point is that, and it is something that I say consistently to all new employees. I meet every new employee who comes to our organization, and we typically hire about 125 people a week. So I meet them all every Monday morning and have been doing it every Monday for 10 years. And I tell them that they do not have jobs. They have obligations and responsibilities. And I know you understand this, but it's important to make sure lots of other people understand it, that we have an obligation and a responsibility to make a distinctive difference. Not just to have a title, not just to get awards, not just to stand at the head of the table. Most of the people who do that are not the real leaders. So you have the obligation to make a distinctive difference and to understand that the essence of leadership is about managing the present, selectively forgetting the past, selectively forgetting the past, one of the hardest things for people to do, and creating the future. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce the class speaker, who this year is Monica Maida. And I just want to say a few words about Monica. I'd like to start off by saying it's an honor to be selected as the class speaker because your peers choose you. And I understand there was no 11th hour negotiating, that Monica won on an early ballot. For those of you who don't know Monica, she is a pharmacist specializing in infectious disease at New York Presbyterian Hospital. Prior in her career, she was a faculty member in pharmacy. What you may know less about her is that she's also a documentary filmmaker, and she's interested in making films about health, both domestic and global, and all aspects of health. And I encourage her to do that because we need to get the word out. And the last thing I'll say is a little bit more personal to her role in this class and in our program. She's maintained the blog, which I want to thank her for, because the blog and the comments and thoughts that she's posted and written about have been fantastic and have supported, and I think really given so much back to the program. Monica, thank you. But even beyond all of that, I appreciate her for the classroom presence that she brings, the commitment, her leadership and discussion, her questioning, and her real motivation to make the kind of distinctive difference that Michael has talked about so well. So, Monica, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to your comments.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dono, and thank you to my class for electing me. This is the true story of 33 strangers picked to be in a graduate program and work together for 2,400 hours over 2 years and find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. All the Gen Xers in the room get the reference, I think. But unlike the real world, the show, we never stopped being polite. We just stopped being inhibited. And that's why the experiment worked. Learning is fostered by an environment in which one can think and speak freely, where we let the boundaries blur. And getting real is what we got. Throw in an OBGYN from the Bronx and you get a conversation started. If our class had a motto, it would be, no more small talk. Talk should be big. I learned many lessons from my classmates. To never be hesitant to speak, even if you're contradicting the last thing you said. Never put yourself into a box. To always follow a brilliant comment that silences the room with a snarky guffaw, because it makes you less intimidating. Invoking Shakespeare or 80s epic movies in your PowerPoint presentation will always impress an audience, because art and nostalgia can drive any point home. During even the most intense of discussions, a funny email sent at the right moment can put everyone back onto the same side, because humor is a language that we all speak. And finally, wearing cufflinks or high heels should never stop you from dancing on the A train, because happiness is a legitimate healthcare outcome. Our class was very Dow, both reverent and cheeky, polished and rough, candid and diplomatic. Now that it's over, it's very evident that our program, much like life, was about the path. Maybe more like bumper cars than an actual highway, but we trusted the people that catapulted us. Now, as much as we try to continue the conversation, it's time we cut the cord. No more happy hours on the roof deck of Bard Hall. We're on our own now, but every new beginning is some other beginning's end. Some have changed jobs and trajectories, others obviously not so, but all of us have 3 new additional letters on our signature lines. And with those 3 letters, there's an expectation that we continue the conversation, that we change the conversation, and rightly so, because it's about the destination as well. It's not just that you can comment on a Kaplan-Meier curve, calculate a risk ratio, or do a decision tree analysis. Believe me, it's cool when you can impress people at dinner parties by explaining the origin of the phrase, "a switch in time saves 9." But it's not just about the language, it's about having the confidence to chase things that you would otherwise run from. Learning can be insidious. It sneaks up on you. If you asked me to sit down and tell you every fact I learned over the 2 years, it would take 5 minutes. But you're measuring the wrong thing. It's not recall, but restructuring. Education changes your interstitial fluid. And when your glasses change, you look at the same thing with more clarity, and that makes all the difference. This is something that I think it's important to acknowledge, but even more so, I think it's important to trust. Trust yourself to be part of the conversation. Continue to engage and ask the right questions. Trust your skills to independently evaluate policy that affects the health of the public and to your patients. It was a great time to be at Mailman. The implementation and challenge and re-challenge of the Affordable Care Act, Lipitor went generic, the historic Supreme Court vote on the individual mandate, hospital mergers and acquisitions like, will NYU marry Mount Sinai or will continue to marry Mount Sinai, and then a government shutdown on the day that healthcare exchanges were launched. Being indifferent is not an option. Not that indifference was anything we were ever accused of, though of course we didn't start the fire. Even before there was Allison Lyons-Ankeny and Yossi Schwartz, there was Alexander Hamilton and George Washington. And before then, there was Thomas Hobbes and John Locke, or so I've heard. Going back to school is no small decision. EMPHers have an incredibly busy life at baseline. Adding graduate school to the mix requires massive personal reorganization, where balance is ever elusive. On the outside, my classmates achieve this with grace. Early morning workouts, always having something smart to say based on the 100-page reading of a case you did the previous night. But make no mistake, there is a superhuman element to it, but we didn't do it alone. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book about highly accomplished people called Outliers. In an interview, he said, "My wish with Outliers is that it makes us understand how much of a group project success is. When outliers become outliers, it's not just because of their own efforts. It's because of the contributions of lots of different people and lots of different circumstances. And that means that we, as a society, have more control about who succeeds and how many of us succeed than we think. Which is to say that we didn't do this alone. On behalf of my classmates, thank you to our family and our friends. This may be our graduation, but you inspired, encouraged, and supported. If we stand tall today, it's on your shoulders. Thank you to our professors for changing our perspective, for inspiring us to think a lot and differently. Thank you to our program administrators for your attention to detail and for softening the blow. And we all have one of these. Thank you to the person we called 2 years ago to ask, I'm thinking about going back to school. Should I do it? Am I crazy? Thank you for saying yes, you should. And last, to my classmates, be lovers and fighters in that order. And if you disagree with anything I said, let's meet on the rooftop of Bard Hall, or at the salon, or in cyberspace to continue the conversation. Because I was just joking about cutting the cord. Thank you. wanted to say one last thing. I wanted to say happy birthday to Salim's father, who flew here from Turkey, Mr. Arkasoy. And thank you, and happy birthday to my father. It's his birthday as well. So, thank you.
Good evening. It is my great honor and pleasure to call out the names of the candidates for the degree of Master of Public Health. Dean Freed, it is my honor to present to you the class of 2013 Executive Master of Public Health candidates. Paige Amadan. Salem Arjasoy. Evgenia Berkovich. Alan Beanstalk. Susan Buckledge. Trey Brown. Diane Canone. Ellen Coleman. Carmen De Leon. Catherine Dentinger. Dave Dobbins. Anthony Donatelli. Tammy Rosado Gruenberg.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mazen Hashisho. Evan Hershkowitz. Rashmi Kaur. Barbara Karain. J.D. Liu. Allison Lyons Ankani. Larry Marsh. Monica Mehta. Elian Patik Schwartz. David Ramos. Yossi Schwartz. Teresa Spada. Stacy Stewart. Joanne Tsai. Anat Weiss. Joan Werner. And Brad Wilkin and guests.
Thank you.
You want to hold the diploma?
Congratulations, class of 2013.
Congratulations again. This is a very moving occasion to mark the passage of a great enterprise of learning mixed with aspirations and deep values for the future of health and healthcare in our society. And at this moment of population health, as Michael Dowling just said, I think it is very exciting to be able to graduate a class of leaders with such strong grounding in the values and goals of public health. And so it is fitting at this point to ask our graduates to rise and to say with me in a moment the public health oath, an oath written at this school, which all graduates we ask to commit to characterize what our mission and values and goals are, and to have a rudder to guide you for the future. So please join me in saying the public health oath. Health is a human right. The public health community exists to safeguard that right. I believe it is a defining element of a civil society. Public health represents the collective actions necessary to protect the health of all people. Through prevention science and practice, we can accomplish this goal. As a public health professional, guided by these principles, I declare the following. I will work to ensure that people have the chance to live full and productive lives, free from avoidable disease and disability, and supported in their pursuit of physical, mental, and social well-being. I will hold myself to the highest ethics, standards, values, and responsibilities as I move forward the science and practice of public health. I will respect the rights, values, beliefs, and cultures of those individuals and communities with whom I work. I will rely on evidence to support my decisions and actions and translate that evidence into policies and programs that improve health for all. I will add to the body of research and knowledge and share my discoveries freely. I will continuously seek new information and be open to ideas that can better protect and promote the health of populations. I will advance health literacy for all and seek equity and justice for vulnerable populations. With this oath, I commit to the ideals and mission of public health. Congratulations, graduates. You may be seated, and it is my honor to give the last word, as is fitting, to Professor Michael Sparrow.
Hi, thanks. So actually, hearing Monica, talk about Locke and Hobbes and Jefferson and Hamilton, it almost makes me think I should give a lecture, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to have two very simple tasks that I want to accomplish in the next minute or so. First, just a bunch of thank yous. Lots and lots of thank yous. I think you've thanked your family and your friends appropriately. I think Rebecca Sale and Carrie and Paul and Rachel and Marnie and sort of the staff and the crew that really runs the show really And then looking here at the podium, Dean Freed and Dean Delva and the faculty, tremendous support, I think, from the Dean's office and from the faculty. So I really just want to thank them as well. Michael Dowling, that was a truly inspirational speech that I think we all enjoyed and learned a lot from, so I want to thank you for that. And then I just want to also say thank you to the class itself, the class of 2013. I've been teaching in the exec program for a long time, longer than I want to say at this point. But watching you, listening to you, being in the classroom with you reminds me of why I so enjoy working with exec MPH students, and you're among the best of that group. It's just been a real pleasure for me and an honor for me to get to know you as students and colleagues and now friends, and I really hope we can continue that. So thank you. And then the very last thing I want to say is that while you've all been looking up here at me, behind you, the little white tablecloths are coming off some of those tables there. And one thing that I think we all can say, and one thing that I think we all saw and got a sense of in terms of your spirit et al., is that this is a class that likes to party. And I think we're going to do our best to get the party started. Isn't there a song that goes like that? Let's get this party started. But let's now get this party started. Congratulations, class of 13. There's a reception right behind you, and you're going away.